Haman Nature, a journey in search of a peaceful and prosperous society with human nature as a guide. Led by your host, Adam Haman.
Welcome to Haman Nature. This is episode 100 of our little show. And my name is Adam Haman. We've been at this about a year. People never said we'd be able to get to episode 100, but gosh darn it, Tyrone, here we are.
I got the champagne to prove them wrong. I'm popping this baby open. Woo! We did it. Episode 100.
That's very exciting. The best I could do is white wine.
White wine. All right. Well, hey, at least you got something. Of course, my quite dexterous thumbs here are not quite ready to open this, I guess. Oh, it's just a twisty thing. Here, I'm looking for some sort of like fancy cork and everything. It just twists right off. Nothing but the best for Haman Nature. let me tell you, folks. Nothing but yeah. Okay. All right. Cheers, brother. Congratulations to episode 100. Woo!
Cheers, my spiky friend.
Oh, we're getting spiked up tonight.
You know what? They say you can't get excellent white wine for $4.99 at Costco, Kirkland brand, but au contraire, this is delightful. Or maybe it's just the celebratory nature that makes all alcohol taste good.
I think that's right. Plus, one of these days, Adam, we'll make some money from this show, and then we can afford the more expensive stuff. So, folks, oops.
Hey.
So, folks, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
We would greatly appreciate it if we could get a little bit more likes and subscribes on our YouTube channel so that we may monetize it. We're not too far away from it. We'll get there. So yeah, buddy, congratulations. This has been awesome. We've been at it just under a year, and episode 100. We thought that we would do this, celebrate 100 by doing another live stream. This is only our second, just in case the production quality doesn't make that clear. But I thought we'd take a little bit of a look, at what we did in the past, predict about what's going to go in the future, maybe answer some listener, viewer questions that were sent in. That all sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, yeah, 100 episodes. So, we do have some viewer, subscriber questions that we got. And folks, if you want to ever contact us, obviously you can put a comment in any video. We're going to go through some of those as well. You can also email us. You could email Adam at hamannature.com, and we can take your questions there as well. Or you can go to our Substack page and post comments there, or message us directly through there. So lots of ways to get in touch with us. And if you do have a question, submit a question. We might just read it on the show.
Indeed, we might. In fact, there's an excellent chance you are not going to get lost in the turbulent jet stream of raucous questions.
The nice thing about being a small channel like ours is that your questions will be viewed, heard, and get responded to. Unlike, those successful guys like Joe Rogan or Dave Smith or the other ones who don't have time for the lowly beyond because they've got millions of subscribers. But
yeah, they say they're successful, but then they give you the personalized attention that a small channel like us would.
Right.
By the way, I don't know if you saw it, but on our YouTube channel, somebody said that ours was an underappreciated channel.
Maybe we'll get to that comment, Adam.
Maybe we will.
Yes. So yeah, let's start with some questions. So let's see here. One of our viewers, Anne, asks, "What have you learned over the last year from doing this show?" So I'm guessing that's directed to both of us. Adam, why don't you go first?
All right, I'll go first. Learn some of the nuts and bolts technical things, of course,
Mm-hmm.
although my buddy Tyrone here does most of the stuff that requires actual skill. But yeah, I learned a little bit about how you make a thing. I learned about how Substack works. And then, I mean, beyond the show, the really interesting thing is just about the last year that we've been doing this is the changes in the world. It's just such an interesting time to be alive and sort of paying attention. A lot of it is political, but a lot of it is cultural. Just as an example, one of the first things we covered on Haman Nature here, at least in my writing, I was fascinated by the Oscars because it sort of seemed by the sorts of awards that were being given out, the people who won, it seemed like the woke insanity that's gripped Hollywood for 5 or 10 years, maybe longer, seems to have broken a little bit. I hope that continues as we move forward this year, but I don't know. And I also believe that it might be due entirely to our little show here, Tyrone, but I think the zeitgeist has become more libertarian in the last year than it was before. Obviously, I'm joking. A lot of that is a reaction to, the COVID insanity, and also the fact that the left just went so hard at disinformation that a lot of people who sort of believed statist, institutional, leftist tropes sort of just have their eyes open. That maybe, like, let's just say, a lot of red pills. A lot of people got red pilled in the last year, and that's one of the biggest things that I think has occurred.
What's the biggest thing I've learned? So, like you said, doing the technical stuff, learning that. So many years ago, I had my own podcast. It was on craft beer. Had a co-host similar to this, but it was just audio only. This was really before. I mean, YouTube was a thing, but it wasn't like. So this was, gosh, probably 15 years ago, maybe longer ago, that I did this, and YouTube was a thing, definitely, but not the way it's used today for like all these shows or channels. Like things back then, the iPod had just come out, where we get the word podcast from, right? So everything was pretty much audio, and so just having to do audio editing and figuring out how to upload that stuff was difficult, but I had some skills in that from my time when I dabbled being a musician for a while in my youth. So the audio editing was fairly straightforward for me, but then you had to figure out how to upload it and get it distributed, RSS feeds, this and that, and there's a lot of technical stuff behind the scenes on this stuff. And then when we started this show and made it video, that was a whole new level of skills I had to learn, just sort of teach myself video editing and some graphic design type stuff. If you like the logos, everybody, it's my own creation. If you hate it, well, hey, it didn't cost you anything. So,
No, I think it's great.
but what I learned was that I think, and this is kind of weird. It's not really related to the show per se. But what I learned is that just having something in your life that you can look forward to work on, to feel productive, that isn't just a grind, 9 to 5, your daily grind, but it's sort of a passion project. These last few years have been really tough on everybody. We've seen some dark times. And so for me, having the show has been a really uplifting experience for me, something for me to look forward to. So I think what I learned was, I didn't realize, how much I think we all need something like that in our life. So not to get too sappy about anything, but folks, I feel like everyone should try to find that passion project and just to make the world seem a little bit brighter. So Adam, thanks for a year of fun. My camera is doing some weird things, but that's the green screen behind me. But thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's been a great journey. Hopefully hopefully we get to that subscriber mark where we can start making some money off it. So again, folks, this is nothing but a PBS style. Will you support our show-a-thon? We're gonna bring out some guest celebrities soon to
Indeed we will. These live streams will be more interview based coming soon. But right now, I wanted.
And if you subscribe, you get this wonderful gift basket with a mug of our face on it.
Tyrone, you know, gosh darn good and well that we can't afford a gift basket at this stage.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean about meaning and purpose and creativity. This show really is a passion project, and it surprises me how much I enjoy it. And the writing too, you know, like 5 days a week, you either get a podcast from Haman Nature or you get an article I wrote about something that is going on that I think is interesting, that I think I have some kind of a unique spin on it. They're not long because we get bombarded with emails that are just way too damn long.
Yeah.
So I try and make them interesting and not too invasive an ask of your time. And what I'm surprised about is that I'm still like doing it. I still enjoy getting up in the morning and writing an article. I thought the well would go dry way before now. We've been at it almost a year.
Hey, Adam, in the chat, your buddy Proof Pod just made a comment. Why, oh, why didn't I take the blue pill? I ask myself that every day, buddy.
You know, Cypher was the unacknowledged hero of that film, in my opinion. That was his name, right? Cypher? I think it was Cypher.
Yeah, give me the blue pill. I don't want to remember nothing.
And I want to be somebody important, like an actor, maybe. As he bites the delicious medium rare steak. Yeah, that was a great movie. And I showed my own ignorance as I responded. Preach it, Teddy Pants, but I screwed it up. His name is the actor Joey Pantaleone or something like that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the comment there. If you're watching, feel free to drop in comments, and we'll try to get to those or respond to those. I shouldn't say try to get to those. It won't be that hard.
We should be able to make it.
Don't have that many subscribers. We're the little engine that could, Adam. Come on, chug along.
We're gonna get back to questions, but I thought maybe we'd talk about just some of the things, because you asked like what I'd learned over the last year.
Sure,
I think our first episode, it was fairly recently after Javier Milei had taken over in Argentina.
Right. Yep.
And it was so incredibly remarkable because not only does a libertarian win, you know, the biggest office in any country, but he doesn't just run as some milquetoast Gary Johnson, you know, guy. He ran as a Rothbardian, talking about Hans Hermann Hoppe and Hayek, and it was just so amazing. So we talked about it. You know, is he going to be able to do well? Is he going to get shut down? I mean, Peronism, the style of socialism that corrupted that country that used to be so prosperous, that was really deeply entrenched. And how does one guy get in there and actually make any changes in the corrupt bureaucracy? But as I talked about this a little bit with Bob Murphy on one of the crossover episodes, and it looks like things are really moving in the right direction over there. He slashed the government spending by a whole lot. He managed to run a surplus in the budget for the first time in decades and decades and decades. Poverty, unemployment is still high, about the same as it was, but that's going to take some while. I mean, after such a corrupt system, to get people to believe that the regime is going to be stable and you can actually invest money there and not have the rug pulled out from under you, that's going to take a while for those changes to be believed in the culture, and you know, for international investors to also believe what they're seeing. But he slashed departments, you know, afuera. He's ripped them all out. Not all. Slashed taxes quite a bit. Not everyone, because he does have some things he has to try and pay for. Just horrible Franken debts from the past that are just a problem. But I am astounded by the amount of progress that he's made, and I hope that because of that, we'll start seeing some echoes of that in other countries around the world, including our own. I mean, I find it unlikely that something like the creation of Elon Musk's Doge department, quote unquote, would have been a thing without Javier Milei sort of saying, countries run better when they're not so incredibly bureaucratized and cronyized and regulated to death, choked to death. And so, yeah, I think over the last year, I've been very happy to see that play out.
Yeah, I think on an upcoming episode pretty soon, probably sometime in March, we will do a complete revisit of the Milei situation and give him a grade, I guess, maybe, or some sort of review where he's at. But yeah, it has been remarkable just in a short year. At least just the really. I won't say he crushed inflation, but the rate of inflation, has really, really, really dramatically come down to the point where it's close to, not being so. I would not gonna say it's close to zero, but compared to where it was, I mean, I think that was the fact that you can turn that around in just a year is pretty incredible. I would like to see now how a much bigger boat like the U.S. economy turns around. Bigger boats are harder to turn, harder to steer. There's more weight to them. So turning around,
especially when you broke the rudder off about
Yeah.
a century ago.
Yeah, I mean, turning around a smaller ship or a smaller economy, let's say like Argentina's, while difficult in a way, it's an easier task. If your whole economy is only a few $billion. I mean, I don't know what the economy of Argentina is. I'm sure it's up there, but let's just take some fictional tiny little country that's whole GDP is only $1 million. I mean, kind of pushing that in one direction or another is a pretty easy thing to do. But when you're talking about the largest economy in the world, with GDP, however you want to measure it, well over $30 trillion and complicated. That's not an easy thing to just, snap your fingers and turn it around. And I think Trump's, heading into some rough waters economically and
quite true. Which brings up a question again from Proof of Pod: is Trump 2.0 the most libertarian administration since Reagan, since Coolidge?
I mean, since there's never been a libertarian administration, right. I don't.
Well, he said most. Everything is relative to everything. I'll take a crack at that. I think the safe answer is also the correct one. It's way too early to tell.
Mm-hmm.
He's come in and he's done some things that look like they're really, really good. He's also done some things that I think are really, really bad. The tariffs specifically. And his designating the narcos in Mexico as terrorist organizations, that can't end up in a good place. On the other hand, he is known for his ridiculous aggressive first offers and using things as a negotiating position. So who knows? But it's too early to tell. Reagan wasn't very libertarian, by the way, except in rhetoric.
Right.
I was having a discussion with a friend of mine earlier about Jimmy Carter, who definitely did some really unlibertarian and dumb things. But he gets kind of a bad rep just because people forget that he was a Democrat who ran on a deregulation platform. And he got rid of the Civil Aeronautics Board that socialized airline prices. And he also got rid of Interstate Commerce Commission, something like that regulated trucking into being just a guild. So he freed up two major things that are vital to this country in his administration. Not that I would call him anywhere near libertarian for all the other horrible things he did. But yeah, it's an interesting question. Maybe Coolidge. Definitely in the modern era, Trump has a shot if he continues along this vein of being the most libertarian president. It's possible. On the other hand, as you said, the economy could be so screwed up and Trump could respond with so many dumb things that he presides over the hyperinflation and destruction of the currency in the country that we've all been predicting for quite some time.
So let me answer it in a different way. That's perhaps a better metric, or at least is a measurable metric. And that's certainly size. And whoever said size doesn't matter, they were lying about that.
Calling my wife a liar, Tyrone. God damn it.
I would never. So libertarians, first and foremost, like all libertarians would agree that a smaller government is a better government, right? Because where's the source of funding for the government? It's through taxation or printing of money, all anti-libertarian things. So I think the easiest metric is to say, okay, a small government is a more libertarian government. So the most libertarian government would have been like Thomas Jefferson's era or something like that, where the budget was teeny tiny in comparison to the GDP. So my answer, quite simply, is this the most libertarian administration ever? We'll see if they cut spending. I mean, but Trump's first time around, he increased spending every year. The government grew, the budget grew. So that's not libertarian in my opinion. If he starts cutting, actually cutting, like next year's employment number. So I don't know, what are there, like 30 million federal employees? I don't know. It's quite a big number. I want to say that's coming off the top of my head, but let's just say it's 30 million federal employees across, every agency and every government. Maybe that's like all of government combined.
Well,
so I don't know, but
on,
if next year the number's fewer, then I'll say, okay, it's in the right direction.
I think there's a lot of different aspects, a lot of different dimensions. You might answer the question, who's the most libertarian president? But based on the one you just posited, just having a smaller government, maybe Harry S. Truman is the most libertarian president ever. Didn't we have a massive, enormous military budget during World War II, and then that plummeted calamitously? According to the Keynesians at the time, calamitously. We're going to get all this massive unemployment and whatever their phrase is for slack capital use, or whatever their phrase is for a thing that needs government intervention. But no, he just cut the budget a whole bunch, and probably the first time ever that it went down, or at least in the modern realm. So maybe Truman. That's what you got to do to be the libertarian, best libertarian president. Drop a couple of nuclear bombs on the Japanese cities, and stop spending quite so much after you win. Boom, libertarian.
Okay. Yeah.
Boom, libertarian.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say he was very libertarian.
I wouldn't either.
I got a question here from Hop Logic. What's ahead for next year on the show? I guess we should have like a really great answer for this. Like, we are going to reveal so many things coming. Like, one of those hype videos, be like, you're not going to want to miss what we have in store for 2025. Truth is, we're just going to kind of keep doing what we're doing. Our goal is to put out about 3 episodes a week, 2 to 3, kind of depends. One of those is only for our paid subscribers, behind the paywall. So I think for us, we want to just do more content. So we have this idea to do more shorts, get more bigger interviews. We really think that's a way to grow the channel. So I would say our emphasis for 2025 is to try to do more interviews, get more guests on. I'm sure everybody loves just watching me and Adam talk about philosophy and things like that. And I actually think those episodes are really good, because I feel like we're doing something a little different than the other libertarian / conservative shows out there that are just constantly reacting to whatever headline in the news was. And they all talk about the same 5 stories every week. You can jump over to like the Rubin Report, and then jump over to Tim Pool, and then jump over to, fill in the blank podcast, and it's all the same headline, Senator shocked by answer at hearing, and then they all give their opinion on it. And none of that stuff, while it's interesting and it's important and it's content, I think you and I want to digest. We don't need another show out there talking about the same thing. So what we aim to do, I think, we do talk about some topical things once in a while, but a lot of our stuff that we talk about is more evergreen, in that we're talking about sort of higher level concepts, and trying to tie those to real world scenarios, so that you come back 5 years from now and, for example, watch our episode on free will, or one of those episodes. That stuff is timeless. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think I hope we lean more into some of the funner things that we did. The game we played with Scott Horton and Angela McCardle, and the best movie soundtracks couple of episodes you and I did. And I mean,
yeah, we have some fun.
yeah, we have some fun. I want to lean more into that in the future. But honestly, I mean, full curtain pull, we sort of make things up on the fly what we want to do. But I agree with you that I don't want to be a reactionary show. First of all, I'm too lazy and don't do enough, in the moment research. But second of all, the thing we're trying to do in this show is trying to figure out the proper way of being for our species and our society in our circumstances. And that means taking a slightly deeper look at what's going on and viewing it through lenses that go back over much more time. Look at the evolutionary angle, trying to find out what's good for us as far as our institutions and our cultural norms. So that's a different thing than oh my goodness, what are the Democrats up to lately? They're so insane. That's
Right.
It's not that interesting to me.
Two promises I will make to our viewers coming in 2025: the return of the game First to Ruin the World.
Yay!
That will be coming. We're going to have a bigger bracket. We're going to start it earlier in the year, so I think we'll kick it off right around the time March Madness kicks off, and then we'll make it go a longer. We'll make it maybe go a whole season. So maybe like 3 months or something, so everybody can get their votes in. But we'll take suggestions too.
Very nice.
From our viewers and listeners. So if you have some suggestions about who should be put into the bracket for First to Ruin the World, give us a shout out. Again, you can email us. Email Adam at HamanNature.com. I'm Tyrone at HamanNature.com. Otherwise, just put a comment in the comments here, and whatever you're.
It's also
you're
very
consuming
easy if you're a subscriber to HamanNature.substack.com. You can reply to any of the emails you'll get, and it'll get our attention. So it's not hard to contact us.
And
I'm
then
looking forward.
No,
go ahead.
Then the second promise we'll bring back in 25 is more Haymack.
Oh no! Well, that was a lot of fun. We'll do that gag again.
I love Haymack.
I want to. I'm very much looking forward to who will be first to ruin the world version 2. And for people who only listen to the audio, version of this show, on those particular episodes where we're going through the brackets there, you were really missing a treat on the photos that Tyrone selected to represent these people, institutions, concepts. You should go check out the backlog on YouTube. At Haman Nature and look for those. Those are incredible.
Got a question from Knittin' Pins, who asks, basically, what is your favorite episode? Adam, you got one, or maybe if not favorite, one you think everybody should go back and check out if they haven't watched it yet? Or
I don't know if my favorite would be a crowd pleaser. I mean, I just extolled the virtues of the Who's First to Ruin the World. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But one of my favorites was, I think the second time I had Stefan Kinsella on, great libertarian. I don't know, would you even call him a philosopher or a theorist, a lawyer?
Sure.
Thinks a lot about the right legal institutions and structures in a libertarian world and an anarcho-capitalist world. But when I had him on and actually changed his opinion at least a little bit about the virtues of a school choice, promoting school choice. It's obviously not the principal libertarian solution to education. The state should have nothing to do with that whatsoever. But being able to make a few arguments he hadn't considered about why in 2025, where we are right now, why that would be a thing that's worth advocating for, even though it's a little bit, not a little bit, it's greatly shy of the libertarian ideal. But sometimes, sometimes it's worthwhile to take a lesser than in order to get to where you want to get. It's not exactly the same as advocating for lowering taxes 10%, even though you ideally want to get it down to zero. I know those aren't completely comparable, but not all lesser than tactics are bad. Some are, but not all. And that was a fun conversation. And I respect Stefan so much that I felt really good getting any kind of a win there. So thank him for that. I hope to have him back on the show soon to talk about other things. And yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Nice. So got a question here.
Episode 27, by the way, for those curious.
Check that one out. I just like the ones where we have kind of goofy fun, like the Oscar or no, the top soundtrack, movie soundtrack.
That was great. Yeah. It was also fun to hear fans pour in, the obvious great ones that we missed. That was an awful lot of fun. And they were right. Catch me on a different day. I think I said in the show that, yeah, I could find 20 or 30 soundtracks that are equally awesome.
Got one more viewer question I wanted to get to, because kind of a big one. And Adam, I think this is really more for you. But what is your hope and vision for the Libertarian Party going forward? Maybe not just in 2025 or however time horizon you want. Obviously, things have shaken out now. Ross was freed, so that was all thanks to the efforts of the Libertarian Party that we actually had some real influence this time around. So it shows it is at least possible. So where do you see the LP going from here?
It's a great question. In 2022, I was part of the quote unquote takeover of the Libertarian Party that happened in Reno. And we made Angela McArdle chair then. She just stepped down to go pursue other options, but she did manage to accomplish some amazing things. She got the spotlight on the Libertarian Party. People were talking about us. Trump actually came to our convention, as we talked about at the time, in D.C. So did Robert F. Kennedy. So did Vivek Ramaswamy. Thomas Massey was also there, but that's not quite so strange. And we shook these free Ross signs that I've inverted to say Ross is free in his face, and got him to make a promise that he actually followed through on. And that was largely, maybe about close to the upper 99%, all Angela McArdle's doing, and she deserves full credit. So what I want to see going forward is just more of the same. I do not like how irrelevant and milquetoast the party was before. Their irrelevance was embarrassing. They weren't even being a very good vehicle to describe what libertarian political philosophy is. And so I want, on a national level, very good spokesmen for what libertarianism is, people who can defend that at a high level, and also in a way that's the people that aren't, super intellectual or into politics and stuff, the way people like that can hear it and think that it matters. So that's the national level. But then most of our focus, honestly, ought to be run in the state affiliates all across the country, promoting local libertarian candidates who can actually win and achieve liberty for their constituents in a very real and meaningful way. So I like that two-pronged approach. I hope we continue with it. And yeah, that's what I want for the future of the LP. More of what we've been doing, except make it even better and even more. Like I said earlier, I do believe that libertarianism is rising in the cultural zeitgeist, and just keep riding that wave, keep pushing that boulder up the hill until we get a government that's not an embarrassment and oppressive.
Yeah, let me so Proof of Pod put in another comment in the chat there, saying regarding taxes, do you think there are better or worse taxes, or is the magnitude the only thing that matters? For example, are tariffs better than payroll taxes?
Great question. I'm all over it. Magnitude is important, but as you intimate, proof of pod, all taxes are distortionary, but not all taxes are equally distortionary. And the income tax is one of the most awful, intrusive, invasive, distortionary things or ways of taxing or funding the government that you could invent. If they were of equal magnitude, I would prefer tariffs, I believe. I think they're less destructive and distorting, even though they're massively destructive and distorting. But of course, the old Lucy with the football bait and switch thing is they promise you a new, better, less intrusive form of taxation, and then you end up, with both.
So I'm going to answer this question kind of how Walter Williams once answered a similar question. So for me, it is more about the magnitude that matters. So yeah, you'll hear people all the time, even like pro limited government types, to come out and say we've got to simplify the tax code. We've got 10,000 pages of taxes. And it's too complicated. We got to get in there, make it more efficient, simplify the tax code. And Walter Williams was like, no. He's like, I don't necessarily want to make it easier for the government to collect money, but it's the amount that they collect that matters. He says, I wouldn't care if they passed a law that required you to hop on one foot, chew bubblegum, pat your head and stomach at the same time while you fill out your taxes, if your taxes were only $1. He says, I don't care how complicated it is. I care about the amount. So, if the government collects, what is it? They're collecting now $4 trillion in income taxes alone. How many ever billions, trillions of dollars in other forms of whatever? It's like it's the amount. It's the amount more than the type.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because the distortion that people are talking about isn't the complication of the forms or hopping on one leg. It's the fact that through various types of rebates and whatnot, they push people to try to save money into certain types of behavior that they would never do. It affects family formation, even. It affects how businesses work. It affects what kind of car you drive. And I would prefer, all things equal, a less distorted in that way income tax. Like, I think it was good that they cleaned up things in whatever it was, 86. I mean, it was bad. It's complicated. Like, in one sense, it's nice that there are loopholes that people can use to try and evade taxes. But on the other hand, it is weirdly distortive in a Misesian, sort of framework to push money and attention and resources into certain things just because the government is pushing in that direction.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to some of the viewer comments that we've gotten on some of our episodes. So I think those are fun. And I want to be engaged with whoever's choosing to engage with us. So we really appreciate it, positive or negative. But Adam, you've made it when you finally get some haters.
Yay!
So I wanna take a moment and go through some of the comments, good and bad, and maybe respond to those. But again, no hard feelings. Everybody's got their opinion. We certainly have ours, and it's at the end of the day, it's what you want to accomplish, and what you want out of your society. So the libertarian vision that Adam and I have may not suit what you want to see. That's totally fine with us. We have our own vision for the world, and we think that the libertarian political approach fits that better. But our episode that we just released a couple episodes ago, titled "Trump's Economic Illiteracy," I think got the
somebody didn't like that.
the most responses we've had, and I was kind of hoping, I don't want to be a troll, and I don't want to do like gotcha headlines and stuff. So when I create like the thumbnails, I try to make them eye catching and interesting. But I really hate some of those other channels that'll be like, this person was devastated by what this other person said, and you watch the clip and it's like, that wasn't really devastating or anything like that. It's like it's just this clickbaity stuff. So I avoid that in the headlines that I choose. But this one on the thumbnail says Trumpian economics disaster in the making, and it's got Trump reading a copy of Economics for Dummies with a dunce hat on. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist because I felt like we had been saying prior to the election, some relatively positive things
Yeah.
about Trump, and yeah, there's a lot we do like about his non-establishment thing, but as you just said a few minutes ago, he's not a libertarian, folks. So it's like just because he does a couple of things that we're on board with doesn't mean we're just gonna ignore the other stuff. So anyway, I don't know if this is really a negative or a positive or just more of sort of a general comment, but someone named Thrasher Thetic. Okay, some of these online moniker
reading
names
usernames is an art form.
This person's comment says, imagine staring down the barrel of a century of central bank inflation, booms and busts, and constant government meddling in every aspect of the economy and thinking that Trump is the problem. So great point. I completely agree. I would say that that episode, we didn't say Trump was the problem. We were simply talking about his one comment he made about putting a cap on credit card rates and why we think economically that's a bad thing. But completely agree. Everything's too expensive. The following comment by someone named Disastrous Mouse, I guess. Disastrous, mouse, I think. Comments on that episode. It's not credit cards, it's mortgages. Mortgages need interest rates to be lower. So again, I would disagree with that statement completely. Interest rates neither need to be lower or higher. In a free market, the market would decide what the appropriate rate of interest should be. In fact, I think where the interest rates now are probably too low. I think they actually should be higher. It's not the interest rate that matters per se to let's say the average consumer. It's the cost of things. So I would tell people, or someone would ask me, why did you buy your house in such a high interest rate market? You could say people want to hold off buying a house until there's a lower interest rate. But I say I don't care what the interest rate is. I care what the price is. So if the price is right, I'll pay any interest. So for example, I'll pay 100% mortgage interest if the cost of the house is $1. So
Let me
it's
dive
not
in here.
Yes, just one more quick thing add on. So interest is a symptom of inflation, or I shouldn't say that. People are feeling the hurt and cost of interest because prices are so high they just can't keep up, so they keep piling up debt. So by lowering the interest rates, you're not solving the problem, you're sort of fighting the symptom. But go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I think you're right. Definitely, as the way most consumers think about it, all they're really thinking about is their monthly payments. The price and the interest rate sort of are what makes that a thing, but most people aren't thinking about interest rates per se. And I agree with you. We might have guesses as to what we think the proper interest rate should be in a free market, but the whole point of the market being free is that voluntary interchange is what makes the price of everything, including money, which is the interest rate. But let me say a couple other things. First, I love hateful comments because hopefully it means people actually listen to the episode, and we value very much your time and attention if you do that. And regarding the Trump issue, the viewer makes a great point. Trump only looks great, or he looks at its best, in contradistinction between who else was on offer, Kamala Harris, and the wretched presidents that came in the past. But my criticism of him is not a libertarian, and he isn't even close, no matter what good things he does, is that he doesn't want to spend stupidly, but he doesn't really want to spend less. He loves spending. He's proud of it.
Right.
He doesn't read. He's not studied. He has some good instincts. But yeah, I mean, the point of our episode wasn't to say that Trump is, uniquely the problem for our economic woes. No, obviously not. We've had horrible government spending and behavior, for the entire history of the country, with a marked worseness after Woodrow Wilson, and then again after Richard Nixon cut the last ties of the dollar to gold. And Trump is sitting there with Elon trying to fix all of that. I hope, and he just, he doesn't know what he's doing. 10% interest rate cap only hurts people. It does not help the economy in the slightest bit. And what was the other comment? Mortgage rates need to be lower. Yeah, I think that's not a thing that can be known. You might want to pay lower or something, but you don't know what the price is a useful function as long as it's not distorted, and nobody should be ordering what it should be. And anytime we do that to the free market, we cause a distortion that makes things worse, not better.
Right. So, I want to read one more video or comment from this episode, and I love this one from someone goes by the handle Sittenolfer. I don't know. What are you laughing at?
Sinelfer? I know that guy.
You do?
No.
Oh. I was like, is that supposed to be like some weird like swear word or naughty word that I'm not catching on the way you laugh? Okay. I don't know what that is. Anyway, his comment, or I don't know if it's a man or a woman, this person's comment, what a crap video. Well, you guys are so out of touch with reality. Now, the good news is, Adam, we got a couple of people to come to our defense. So does that mean we actually successfully has somebody ratioed on our behalf? I'm making fun of ourselves because we have so few viewers or subscribers. We got one negative comment and like 3 positive comments.
Oh, that's a crushing. That guy got owned. Got owned.
But in response to that, SNEX000 said, "Damn, you really showed them. I loved how you went point by point and disproved every single thing they said." And then another of our viewers, Jeffrey Long 1478, came back and also said, "I get the impression you saw the title of the video and were triggered into dismissing the video without watching it. I'm on the right, but I found what they said well thought out and reasonable." Thanks, Jeffrey. That was really nice of you. But so, I mean, yeah, I hope, again, I'm not trying to use clickbaity thumbnails, but maybe on that one, I went a little overboard with the Trump one. But
well, let me
anyway.
Let me retort. Yeah, the negative comment really doesn't give me much to work with. I don't know what they found so objectionable. Yeah. I assume it's just, if they listened, it was just some MAGA guy or gal who supports Trump. And like I said just a minute ago, I was hoping Trump would win. If the opposition is whatever in the world Kamala Harris was going to do to us, yes, please. I don't think Trump is necessarily going to save us. I think we're over 36 trillion in debt and rising. But Kamala Harris was obviously going to make the destruction happen quicker and more, hit us harder than whatever Trump does. Trump at least is trying to fix things. I don't know if he can do it, but he is trying.
Right. Well, speaking of Trump, Adam, it's been a couple of weeks since the inauguration. So I thought we would do a quick check-in where we think the president is at, how he's doing. Do you want to start with anything? Otherwise, I was just going to kind of go over the cabinet picks maybe as a place to start. See who's been confirmed and what has yet to go, and and maybe your thoughts on
Well, let's do the cabinet
the good,
picks
the
in
bad.
just a second.
Okay.
I'll point people back to a couple episodes. One, you and I, Tyrone, talking about promises Trump made on the campaign trail. And then another one I did with the great Bob Murphy talking about that flurry of executive orders he did right away.
Mm-hmm.
One of them freeing Ross Ulbricht. Thank you, Mr. President. So I'll refer people to that. But I will say in general, like somebody complained to me recently that Trump is coming in too hard and too fast and changing things too radically. And I disagree with that completely. I think this government is so big and so broken and so crooked that we need a massive shaking of the box, because not only do things need to be fixed, a whole lot of things need to be destroyed. So I like the speed with which he's doing things. I like the unilateral ending of wokeism and nonsense, at least anywhere the federal government touches. I think that should have been huge and fast, and it was. I love that he just demanded that federal workers come back into the office. You know, I'm sure there's a place for remote work, since we all got these cameras and learned how to do it. I assume that'll be a thing in the private sector, but I love that Trump ordered these people back into the office. And I also love that he offered them several months worth of pay if they'll just resign. I think he offered that to 200 million federal employees. And I think that's great. I think Vivek Ramaswamy was probably right that we could cut at least 2/3 of federal employees and lose nothing, because there's so much waste in there, so much fraud. It's such a corrupt system. We're lucky if people get in there and get paid with our taxpayer dollars and don't do anything, because usually the things they do are actively harming us. And I think we need a massive shaking of the box in order to try and fix these things, shine a light on him. And even when he's doing things I don't like, I generally approve of the approach.
Okay.
The speed, anyway, because a lot of people have been complaining about it. And also, I don't mind people recognizing that we have a weird system where there's far too much power in the executive branch. You know, a lot of times people don't think about that like it's a problem, especially left-leaning people. When there's a left-leaning president, they love that they can bark out orders and just mandate that we're all, you know, doing some Green New Deal sort of a thing, or mandating EVs. So yeah, if you don't like a huge executive orders coming from the presidency, maybe don't vote for a system in which that's the case. Anyway, so cabinet picks.
Sure.
I
just want to point out that, you know, when I prepped for this, I'm like, geez, how many cabinet members are there now? It's like they seem to adding and growing some. So we're up to 25 now. So let's just point out that when George Washington started, there were only 4. So
according to the musical Hamilton, which is very accurate, there was only 2.
Oh, okay.
Treasury and State. I mean, there was a whole rap battle about it.
Oh, vice president is always considered to be part of the cabinet.
I wonder who the 4th was for old GW. You happen to know?
I guess I don't. I just have that my show notes. It was kind of a throwaway. Now you're asking me Jeopardy questions. What is? I'm stupid, Adam.
What is? I don't know stuff.
All right. So his cabinet picks. So of the 22 that are being tracked for that need to be voted on, like I said, some of these cabinets are like by default. So like the vice president is considered to be part of the cabinet. Obviously, J.D. Vance doesn't have to be reapproved by the Senate or whatever. So far, let's see here. He's got eight done. So of the ones that are done, let's just go through those quick. I'm going to say them real quick because we could spend too much time on this. And of these that stick out, which stick out to you and why? So we have Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, EPA Lee Zeldin, Transportation Sean Duffy, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Of those that have been voted, confirmed, they're in. They're now official cabinet secretaries. What do you think of any of those?
Well, I assume since they were the first confirmed, they're probably the worst. I don't know that much about most of these people, except Marco Rubio, and I think he's not good in the slightest, especially in that position.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like most of these people Trump picked because they are loyal to him rather than any specific insight into the issue. Like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not that. He knows everything about the issue, for the department that he's going to head. And normally you'd criticize a president for surrounding himself with loyalists, except we just saw what happened to this guy in 2016 when he didn't do that.
Right. No, so 100%. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Like, I really don't think Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, knows anything about Homeland Security necessarily. She probably hates the TSA, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
The ones I'm really looking forward to, I'm interested in this the wife of Vince McMahon for education.
Okay,
secretary.
so you want to skip to the ones that haven't been confirmed. So of the ones that have been confirmed, yeah, I tend to agree with you that the more both sides of the aisle agree, the worse it is. So yeah, by that metric, Marco Rubio got 99 votes in the Senate, so with 0 no's. So
that's
there was
that's a terrible sign.
An absentee. So that means Rand Paul probably voted for him. Okay, so of the ones that haven't been confirmed, Education Secretary Linda McMahon. Well, I mean, okay, sure, that's interesting, but unless she just comes in and says we're shutting down the Department of Education.
Well, that's the thing. In his speech, I think, right prior to the inauguration, if I'm not mixing up my speeches, I think he said if she does her job right, she'll be out of a job.
Yeah. Okay.
So, well, that's good. I mean, if he's serious to instruct her to try and get rid of the Department of Education, I think that's all great. Bob Murphy and I talked about Chris Wright a little bit for Energy Secretary. He's an oil guy who's also favorable to nuclear. That all sounds right to me.
Yep.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services. I hope that happens the most.
Yeah.
Even for things where I don't necessarily agree with him on. I love his approach.
Right.
I don't think he's going to come in and do anything in a super totalitarian way except strip away the cronyism and the subsidies, hopefully.
Yeah.
That just have wrecked our food system, and our FDA system is just a complete and utter regulatory capture horror story. None of this other name. Tulsi Gabbard. I doubt she will be confirmed because she's too dangerous.
Right.
For Director of National Intelligence. But again, I love the fact that these people who were demonized by the media and the previous administration are now being put in positions where they might be bosses over them, like getting Jay Bhattacharya as director of National Institute of Health is just a wonderful revenge story. Same with Tulsi Gabbard. Aren't these the creeps that put her in the, what was it called, Open Skies program, where they followed her around the airport and treated her like a terrorist or something? And we all know what these idiots and jackals and fools and crooks did about Robert F. Kennedy when he dared to complain about the vaccine that they forced on us at threat of losing your job or not being able to shop or go into a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I'm all about those ones. And as far as the others, maybe you know better than I. Like Attorney General Pam Bondi, I don't know her.
So yeah, she's a bit of a mixed bag. We'll see. She wasn't great during COVID. I'm a little surprised that he put up Elise Stefanik for UN ambassador. She held a seat in New York, and those are, rare for Republicans to give up. And the UN ambassador, I mean, whatever, who cares?
That's a shame. I really thought that was the original name of Gwen Stefani, and I've always been a big No Doubt fan, so I thought that was kind of cool. I guess I'm wrong about that.
I won't say I met Gwen Stefani once, but she walked by me at some sort of like music festival, right? Outdoor music festival where there's 3,000 bands that play, and her and the rest of No Doubt were just walking through the crowd between sets or something.
No doubt they were.
My buddy yelled out something stupid to her, like, "Hey, I love your video." I don't know, whatever. But yeah, and like this other one, U.S. Trade Representative. I don't even know what that does in the cabinet.
It sounds like another department that should be abolished, right?
Yeah.
I don't need your help with trade.
Yeah.
Government. I don't need managed trade.
Yeah, I mean the rest of these are kind of minor. You know, you pointed out the big ones, so we'll see what happens there. But I think whichever goes up first, RFK or Tulsi, will determine will be the signal whether the rest of these go through easily. Or
Yeah,
not.
I agree. I also like to look at the betting markets. I should have done that right before the show. I was surprised to see that Kennedy was like in the high 60s, low 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I thought since Pete Hegseth had such trouble barely getting through that Kennedy would be much worse. But maybe there are some, like a lot of lefties I know personally, really liked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the primaries.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this isn't supposed to happen, but maybe the wishes of the voters are percolating up to the senators who represent them ostensibly.
No,
this seems like it shouldn't happen, but maybe it has in this case, and maybe some Democrats will vote for him. Representation? What?
All right, Adam. Well, hey, once again, congratulations on episode 100. And 1 year ago, or a little over 1 year ago, we launched this show, and we're still doing it. We're still alive and kicking, as they say. So here's looking to another year, man.
Yeah, my friend. This is cheers. Cheers. Raise your goblets. I really appreciate you coming along on this ride with me. I love this show we do. I'm proud of it. I love getting up in the morning and making it, and you are a huge part of that, so I want to thank you.
All right, folks. Well, enough sappiness and all that crap aside. Click the subscribe button one more time. I'll say it, please, please.
Get your friends to click the subscribe button at YouTube/@Haman Nature. I will be your best friend.
Sign up at HamanNature.com for the almost daily newsletter that Adam writes and sends out. Ashley Roberts in the chat just says hi. Hi, Ashley. We're about to
say goodbye.
Say goodbye, but thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it. All right, Adam, let's take it home, or say goodbye, or sayonara. I got to finish this champagne and pass out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure for joining us on live stream number 2 in episode 100 of Haman Nature. And Tyrone, the porcupine vagabond hobo, and I will catch you next time. Bye.